Chapter 6, Part 2. Don't let him, Salim, Kat said. Ted's useless at stuff like that. You'll end up with a paving stone and half a trainer. But Salim didn't listen. He gave me the camera and I aimed through the viewfinder to the crux of the wheel. I jogged when I pressed the button. I took the camera away from my eye to see a man walking towards us. He wore an old leather jacket, unzipped, and a black t-shirt with writing on it, but I didn't notice what it said. He was dark-haired with an afternoon shadow on his chin, which is what Dad says he gets at weekends when he has a day off shaving. As the stranger drew near, he threw a cigarette to the ground and stubbed it out under his heel, for which he could have been fined £1,000 for dropping litter, but nobody seemed to notice apart from me. He came right up. "Excuse me," he said, "are you looking for a ticket?" Kat explained that we were queuing for 5 tickets. The strange man said he'd give us the one he had if we liked. He said he was up near the front of the queue to board, but he'd changed his mind. He just couldn't face it. "You can't face it," said Salim. He stared at the ticket in the man's hand and then up at the eye. "I'm claustrophobic. I'd pass out being stuck in one of those Perspex pods." Forgetting that it's wrong to speak to strangers, I said, "The pods are made of steel and glass, not Perspex." "That's worse. Glass? No thanks." "The glass is reinforced. It's very strong and safe. So you don't want your ticket?" Salim interrupted. "It's yours for the taking." The strange man held it out. "It's the 11:30 boarding. That girl over there," he turned and pointed to a girl in sunglasses and a pink fluffy jacket, "is holding my place. They'll be boarding soon." Salim turned to Kat. "What do you say?" "Dunno," said Kat. "Mum said to get tickets for everyone. It's a very nice offer, but—" My hand was shaking itself out because I'd just remembered that you're not supposed to speak to strangers or accept gifts from them. But Salim had his hands up, saying, "We'll none of us get up at the rate the queue is moving," and Kat, I could see, was weighing things in the balance, which meant she was deciding what to do. As the oldest, she was in charge. "OK," she said, "Mum and Aunt Glo will be glad to save the money, I bet, not to mention the time. And Ted and I have been up already. You take it, Salim, you're the guest." The man handed over the ticket and led us to where he'd been standing in the queue. My hand shook itself out because this meant I wouldn't be flying the eye that day after all, and it was down to a stranger with an afternoon shadow whom we shouldn't have even talked to. "Have fun," the man said, smiling. "Thanks a million," said Salim. The edges of his lips nearly reached his ears. Kat and I kept Salim company in the queue until we got to the man who was collecting the tickets, who was shouting, "11:30 boarders, step this way." Salim gave up his free ticket and winked at us and laughed. Then he went with a group of people to the zigzag ramp at the Eye's entrance. "We'll meet you by the exit," Kat called. "Over there." Salim nodded. We saw him through the glass advancing up the gangplank until he became just a shadow. He reached the spot where the pod doors opened and closed, and his silhouette gave his last wave. Then he hurried on with several others. I counted how many got on. 21, including him. The pod door closed behind them. I looked at my watch. It said 11:32, May 24th. "He'll be down at 12:02, I told Kat. OK, a few tasks then from Chapter 6. First of all, Ted talked about evolution. So, can you look up and recreate the theory of evolution for people? I know a lot of you have been doing this about animals and looking at Charles Darwin's stuff for science, so this is a nice way of joining the two together. You can do it as drawings, stop-go animation, make models, whatever you like. Secondly, maps. So thinking about geography, what is the difference between topological and topographical maps? What are they used for? How are they used? Can you find out any other types of maps? And can you give an example of each? Finally, a bit of prediction for you about the story. Who do you think Salim is talking to on his phone? Do you think it's a friend? What kind of clues do the James Bond theme tune and Ted thinking he was talking like he was speaking like a spy tell you about the calls? What can you deduce about them? What do you think or infer that those calls might be about? So, what I'd like you to do is write a really quick paragraph about what you think is going on in those phone calls with Salim. What do you think the mystery might be? OK, I'll be back with Chapter 7 soon.